Welcome to a blustery and chilly escape to the country. We're starting within the walls of one of the most impressive examples of 18th century military architecture anywhere in the UK. But as ever, the question is, where are we? Well, join me in just a few moments and I'll tell you. On today's show, we're helping a couple leave behind the daily grind for somewhere more stimulating to their senses. Smell the newness. There are strange sights.
It's an unusual show.
And the right sort of sounds.
You've cheered me up, actually, with that price ticket.
Good. Well, today I'm in the Highlands of Scotland, and this is Fort George, just outside Inverness. This impressive fortress, surrounded by up to a mile of perimeter walls, was once home to 2,000 men and defended by 40 cannon. It was built back in 1746, following the defeat of Bonnie Prince Charlie at Culloden. The idea was to try and quell future Scottish unrest. Well, the good news is that since then, the Highlands have remained relatively peaceful. And it's that now famous peace and tranquility that make this area such a popular place in which to get away from it all. The crowning glory of the UK, the Highlands is the mountainous region lying in the far northern portion of Scotland. Cutting the land diagonally is Loch Ness, part of the Great Glen that almost splits Scotland in two. The loch is the largest freshwater lake in Britain, reaching depths of over 700 feet, and its surrounding hills soar to the sky by the same amount. On the banks of the River Ness, Inverness is affectionately known as the capital of the Highlands. It was given city status in the year 2000 and is the most northerly city in Scotland. With scenery ranging from spectacular glens to snow-capped mountains, this area teems with natural beauty, mystery, and some of the UK's most dramatic backdrops imaginable. You know, usually when we come to areas that are impossibly beautiful, we expect house prices to go through the roof, but not here. And that's because its relatively remote geographic location and low population density has combined over the years to keep house prices very, very affordable. Your average property around Inverness, for example, will cost you about £160,000, and that is on a par with the national average for the entire UK as a whole. But as with anywhere, of course, there can be exceptions, particularly around the shores of Loch Ness or indeed within the borders of the Cairngorms National Park. There you might expect to add another 20%, but even so, it's still very, very attractive. And it's that heady combination of beauty and affordability that's persuaded today's buyers to make the Highlands their new home. And our couple, Steve and Helinka, couldn't be much further away from Scotland as they currently live in the town of Chesham, Buckinghamshire, right down in southeastern England. For almost 2 decades, home has been this 3-bedroom 1960s bungalow. But for the past 5 years, they've been planning a radical change.
One of the key reasons for wanting to move is that we've holidayed for the last 10 years in Scotland. We're absolutely in love with the scenery, the mountain vista.
The fresh air is just brilliant, and just getting away from town life is ideally what we want.
We've lived down in commuter land for long enough now, and time to pursue other things in the countryside.
The proximity to London has had its benefits, however, allowing them to plough their energies into their careers. Helinka as a local government officer and Steve running his own health and safety consultancy. So now, despite their age, they can afford to semi-retire and focus on their real loves.
We've developed a passion for skiing over the last 5 or 6 years as we've become more competent skiers. It'll just be great to get the skis on and get out there, really.
But when it comes to the house, German Shepherds Jack and Lily are a high priority.
What we've really struggled with here is trying to keep the house being covered in dog splashes and dog hair and things like that. I think having dogs is a must, having a utility room.
A garage is essential. I've now got a collection of 3 motorbikes. They are motorbikes that I ride. I don't collect bikes just to look at, I ride bikes. And the roads in Scotland are phenomenal for riding motorcycles.
leaving Steve in the garage with his motors, Halinka wants to get hands-on with some Scottish dirt under her nails.
I'd like the opportunity to do a lot more gardening, although I've grown bits and pieces here, and I've tried growing things in pots, which is fairly limited, but I've had a bit of success, which I think is quite motivating.
I'm a very keen amateur photographer, and moving to Scotland would open more opportunities to actually pursue that hobby and take more panoramic shots of the tremendous scenery that Scotland offers.
All that remains then is to find out the budget they've earmarked for this Highlands move.
If you can find us the right house with the right view, with the price band between £300,000 and £375,000, I think we'll both be very happy.
Definitely.
Steve and Halinka would like to move to an area close to the Cairngorms National Park. So our house search will focus in the region to the west of the park and in the majestic countryside surrounding Loch Ness. So we're all meeting up on Scottish turf to finalise the specifics of their prospective move. Well, Halinka, Steve, welcome to Scotland, or I should probably say welcome back to Scotland, because this is a part of the world you do know very well.
Very much so.
Now, on your travels up here, have you managed to glean some clearer idea of the sort of property that would really be of interest for you?
We're looking for somewhere with lots of space that allows us to walk around, that we can still go shopping if we need to. We may want to pop and maybe find part-time work or develop businesses. So we don't want to be too remote and away from people totally, but we do want to be fairly remote, don't we?
And something with the beautiful outlook to take in and say, that's our view.
Yeah, well, we're not short of views up here, it has to be said. Now, you hinted on the idea that you may be starting up some sort of business. Can you give me an idea of what that might involve?
Maybe a property with an opportunity to have a holiday let. So we don't really want to do bed and breakfast, but just an opportunity to sort of make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
We thought about maybe motorbike touring holidays.
Yeah.
I think we're just fairly open-minded, really.
3 bedrooms?
Yeah.
That would do.
Not very much more than that. We're not looking at a massive property.
But somewhere with, you know, some nice, light, open space, nice big kitchen diner, presumably for you and the dogs. I imagine that's the sort of space that will be one that you will use most of the time.
We're not that fussed about having a separate dining room. The kitchen will be the hub.
Well, we've got 3 to show you, including our mystery house. There is a bit of snow on the ground behind us. I'm hoping that's not going to get any worse. The sun is shining.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Looking forward to it.
Come on in. Armed with a top budget of £375,000, Steve and Halinka are after a home with at least 3 bedrooms, a large kitchen diner, a separate utility room to help with their 2 dogs, and decent garage space for Steve's motorbike collection. A bonus would be some business potential, but fundamental to their move is the outlook. They must have an awe-inspiring view. And we have a superb variety of Highland properties to serve up, all with views as a top priority, but I'll be keeping the price a guessing game until we've had a good look around first. Then to finish up, we've got the mystery house, which delivers on views and a whole lot more. Look at that, isn't it just stunning?
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is one of these places which is just so mesmerising.
It's quite mythical almost, and mystical. I don't know, there's just something about the mountains that just takes your breath away.
Do you know, I think it's because there's a timeless feel about it. Something almost primeval. Nothing really has changed. We're starting our property search north of Loch Ness on the outskirts of Kiltarlety. Around 6 miles away, Bewley is the nearest place to pick up provisions with a range of shops, including a supermarket. This historic town can trace its origins back to the founding of a now ruinous priory way back in the 13th century. But our journey takes us up to higher ground, in which our first property takes pride of place. So there we go. Property number 1, in splendid isolation.
With a spectacular view.
With a view, yeah. Well, that's Glen Affric over there, the beginning of Glen Affric, which is just a beautiful walk, if you haven't done it already. Absolutely stunning, with the snow on it, just to set the scene. And we've got you this property, which actually is enormous, to be honest. It's got about 14 separate rooms in it.
Wow.
How many?
14, not including the garage, Steve.
All important.
All important. So we've taken care of the bikes. And what do you think? What are your first impressions?
Very impressed.
I love the view.
Yeah. You're beaming, aren't you?
That's what the house is about.
Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Built in the early 1980s, this deceptively large chalet bungalow is partly furnished and in need of some modernisation. So Steve and Alinka will have to use their imaginations to see how they could make the space work for them. Come in. It's warmer in here. Thank goodness. They don't normally kind of loiter around in hallways, but I think this is worth taking in because it's kind of surprising in a way from what you see on the outside to find something as spacious as this. But in terms of a way to greet you, what are your first thoughts?
It's almost a room in itself.
Well, this is one of the 14 that I counted up. But there is another one through here. Come and have a look at this. This is currently, I suppose, seen as the main living room, as it were. Over there is a working open fire, so wood or coal.
It's a decent-sized room and it's a good shape.
So far, so good?
So far, so good.
All right, come on in. This is the kitchen, which is a bit of an odd one, in a way. Alinka's nodding her head, yes. It would benefit from being rethought.
Yeah,
I think. So you could open the whole thing right up and if need be go possibly even through there, that away too, and end up with a much bigger kitchen area if you wanted it. Through there is a really generous utility room with a downstairs shower. So I'm thinking muddy dogs, they can all be out there quite comfortably. Right, good. So this is a bit of a thing on the list. But let's continue our exploration through here. This one is interesting. This, the current owners had used as their master bedroom because it had access out to the garden.
Right.
With these double doors. But there is another master bedroom upstairs. And I would really, turn this into another reception room or a snug or study or whatever.
You've got a very attractive view through the doors, so
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? I think there's a lot of opportunity here. It's not unpleasant as it is.
Yeah.
And I think it would allow you to grow into it.
Yeah, good. Well, you're going to have lots of time on your hands to do this. Including this room with double doors out to the back, there are a further 3 rooms down on the ground floor that have been designated as bedrooms, and all are served by a large family bathroom. The remaining 3 bedrooms are all up on the first floor. So we've got one in here, very colourful, boys' room, as it were, and then another one in there.
Yeah.
They've all got these great skylights in them. And this is the master bedroom, complete with ensuite, shower in there too. Yes, have a look.
It's an unusual shape.
It is. The only thing I can say in its defence is that it does allow you yet more windows to enjoy the views, which obviously just get better the higher up you get in here. So how are we doing out of 10 on property number 1, Alinka?
I would say 7.
7?
7.
Yeah, Steve?
Downstairs, very good,
Yeah.
but disappointed with upstairs. I'm hedging my bets on a 6.
On a 6?
I won't make a 7. Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can get a few more points in the garden. Come and have a look. No doubt another taste of that view should bump up the ratings, so that's exactly where we're headed. Outside, the grounds extend to around 1.5 acres that's been divided into formal and wild gardens with several paved and gravelled areas. In Scotland, properties are usually marketed on an offers over basis, and although 20% over is a general rule of thumb, there are no rules to say that a lower offer would be refused. So, let's have a think about the value of it. What would be a realistic asking price, do you think, for property number 1, Alinka?
I wish you weren't going to start with me. I would say 325.
325, yeah, Steve?
They're going to go 315 actually.
315.
Yeah.
OK, well, that's very interesting. I think you're rather prudent, actually, because this is on the market for offers over 300,000.
Oh, right. It's the difference between my 315 and your 325 gives us the scope to actually do what we want to do.
I would say, to be honest with you, 20 to 30,000 pounds in there would do it.
Yeah.
Comfortably. And give you plenty of change left over from your overall budget to sit and enjoy all of that.
Absolutely.
Which is what it's all about.
Exactly.
I think you've cheered me up, actually, with that price ticket.
Good. Well, that's our aim, Steve. Try and keep a smile on your faces. Let's hope it continues. We're going to give you a bit more time now to go and explore it. Have a bit of fun. Think about the sort of changes you might want to make. It's always a bit of a laugh doing that. And I'll catch up with you a little bit later.
OK.
Off you go. Head back into the warm. Because I can tell you, there's snow on these hills and it's jolly chilly in the Highlands. For offers over £300,000, our first property comes in well under budget. It's a detached, relatively modern build that has the flexibility to provide 3 reception rooms, a kitchen breakfast room with a separate utility, 6 bedrooms and that all-important garage. But above all, the property is enveloped by the spectacular Highland scenery.
The inside for me downstairs is very much a blank canvas, and I think the kitchen here does require a little bit of remodelling.
The price did make my eyes light up a little bit more, because I'm now starting to think, well, actually the projects that we have in mind to bespoke this property to our liking, there is that money now to actually invest and get the house as we would like it. Not a bad start.
So, figured it all out?
Thinking about it, yeah.
It's a good price, let's face it.
It is a good price.
Yeah, and on a day like this, well, if anything's going to sell, a property in the Highlands, blue sky's going to help, isn't it?
Definitely.
Right then, let's get going to property number 2. Come on.
Okay.
Steve and Halinka have spent the past 10 years holidaying in Scotland, but they can't get enough of the country's stark beauty and checkered history. So during the week, they met up with tour guide Patrick Pollard and hopped on motorbikes for a scenic ride around Loch Ness, stopping at the ruins of Urquhart Castle to find out more about the legacy that shaped the landscape from local expert Willie Cameron.
Hi, Halinka. How are you, Steve?
Hello there.
Welcome to the fortification that is Urquhart Castle here on the banks of Loch Ness. In its heyday, it was one of the most magnificent castles here in Scotland. It originally started off about the 6th century, 550, 560 AD. On this knoll here was a Pictish fortification, because all the hills round here, it was all the Pictish tribes.
The castle's strategic position brought with it centuries of conflict between the Scottish and English, battling for its occupation.
In the 17th century, right in about 1690, 1691, the Grants, who owned the castle then, destroyed it completely. Put gunpowder into one of the rooms, blew up the gates, blew up the walls.
So why was the castle blown up?
The castle was blown up to prevent the Jacobites, the followers of James, who was known as the Old Pretender, James Stewart, who was wanting to reclaim the throne of Scotland.
At the centre of a lengthy and brutal tug-of-war, the turbulent lives of the clansmen who once lived and fought here still resonate throughout the ruinous walls.
What's it like being a clansman today?
It's probably just as important being a clansman today as it was in days gone by. But the thing is, nowadays, we don't go marauding into England, stealing folks' cattle or creating fracas on the hillsides round about here. It's more subdued, and we usually manifest ourselves in Highland games, where we perform various feats like tossing the caber and tug-of-war.
In 2014, Scotland will be hosting the Year of Homecoming, where migrant Scots throughout the world return to their native land to celebrate their culture and heritage. And by then, Steve and Halinka hope to have their own wee patch of Highland to call home. But first we've got to find it, so it's back to the hunt. For our second property, we're travelling further south and closer to Loch Ness, where our destination is in the hills overlooking Drumnadrochit. In the shadow of the snow-capped Craigmony, the village of Drumnadrochit is located in a sheltered valley that runs to the world's most famous loch. As such, this village is a popular tourist hotspot from which to explore the local area. But a mile away from the village and high into the remote hills, we come to our second property. OK, property number 2. I know we're all distracted by that lovely view over there, which is what makes it, but just feast your eyes on that. What do you think, Halinka?
It looks a very lovely house to me. I'm wondering where the garage is.
There is a spot for a garage. Okay. Don't panic. Steve?
It's a new build.
It is a new build. It's only 6 months old. It's brand spanking new. There is nothing to have to do here. That's the joy of it. But it has been designed, as you can tell, really to soak in that lot. Is this the sort of thing you would have come to look at if you'd seen it on the internet?
No, because I wouldn't have looked at new.
Ah, interesting.
But first impressions are, it's stunning.
Well, you said at the beginning, you know, this house search is all about finding something in the right setting. Come on then, let's go in. Completed in late 2012, this detached, newly built villa is presented partly furnished, but conceived to take advantage of possibly the best natural views any home could have. So, for somebody who wasn't thinking about a new build, smell the newness.
Smells of wood.
Doesn't it? Yeah. What do you reckon?
I'm blown away.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's just so gorgeous. And on a day like this, where we know it's really chilly outside, to come in here to the warmth, you know, the sunlight, underfloor heating, space, it's all slick, it's all clean, it's all ready to go.
For such a big space, it feels really cosy. It doesn't feel cold and bleak. And I just can't stop staring at the view.
Well, let's have a closer look at it,
awesome.
because in a way, this is a room of two halves. There's a sort of garden room element here, obviously with the views.
This is the hub that we were after.
Well, exactly. You know, when it comes to the Highlands and views, this room doesn't get a lot better, really.
It is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Amazing.
Good. Well, this is the real kind of showstopper, really, I suppose, as rooms in this property go. But it does continue through here to the living room. There. Isn't that fun?
That is just an amazing wood burner.
It's great, isn't it? I love it. Nice contemporary design, which really fits with the kind of whole mindset behind this property. Yeah, really nice, actually. And again, a little bit cosier in here when you're settling in. But again, lovely views.
Perfect.
Perfect. Right then.
It is actually, yeah.
Let's see what you think of the rest of it. Come on, follow me through here. Let's go up. Smiles all round so far, and there's still more to take in on the ground floor with the requested utility for the dogs, as well as a large and luxurious shower room. And of the 5 bedrooms in total, 1 is downstairs. This double has its own ensuite shower room and could be ideal for guests or for Steve's business. The 4 remaining bedrooms are all upstairs alongside a contemporary bathroom. There are 2 decent-sized doubles, one with dual aspect windows and the other with built-in wardrobes, and a smaller double presented with a single bed. And then finally, this is your one.
Very nice.
Yeah? Go around the corner, have a look. There's an ensuite tucked away around there.
Oh, blimey. Another bathroom.
It's not bad, is it? And again, lovely views through there.
And the double aspect keeps it bright.
Now, one thing we haven't really discussed much in either of our properties so far is this idea of a business in the future. But this is a property, believe it or not, which I think has that potential for you.
All right.
All will become clear outside. The garden is currently in the process of being landscaped and has the footings for a garage at an estimated build cost of £10,000, but there's yet more to unveil. Now, you're probably wondering why, when we've got that beautiful view to gaze at, I'm bringing you around the back of the house to look at what looks like a bit of a building site.
Had crossed my mind.
Well, back to this idea of a business. Below us are preparations to produce the base of a holiday chalet.
OK.
The plot down there could be yours for about £15,000.
Right.
The developer who built this house is in the know and is confident that the chalet would probably cost about £40,000 to do. The real figure that we need to concern ourselves with is this. How much is the house worth?
I think we're getting towards 330.
330, yep.
It is a beautiful house, but it doesn't have the garage at the moment. So I would probably say maybe just over the 300 mark.
Just over 300?
Yeah.
I would have said so too. However, this is on the market for £295,000.
Wow.
No.
Yes. Add on our 65 grand for our garaging, our plot and our chalet.
We're still under budget.
You're still under budget at 360. I think this is extraordinary. For £295,000 with a view like that,
It is
I
amazing.
am amazed. OK, I'm really pleased you've enjoyed this one. I know you were a bit sceptical to start with, but I think we have turned a corner here with our view of new builds.
You've definitely turned the corner.
Brilliant. Right then, will you go and turn that one? Go back inside and I'll catch up with you later.
OK.
Off you go. And in the meantime, me, well, I am going to take in the views because, trust me, you don't get to see that every day of the week. Well under budget for offers over £295,000, Stephen Halinka could have first dibs on this modern new build property. It comes with 5 bedrooms, a separate utility room, and our buyer's dream kitchen, dining and family room. The plot has the potential for a large garage, as well as the possibility to build a holiday chalet. But most importantly, it has the aspect and incredible panoramic views that are going to be hard to beat.
I was absolutely astounded at the price of the house, and I do mean astounded. Bearing in mind with the development of the garage and the further business potential, technically we're still under budget, and I'm staggered about that.
It's very much saying home to me. It's because it's a very attractive house. It's been very sympathetically arranged in terms of the way the rooms have been laid out. I just love it. It's very difficult to describe it any other way. Just really love it.
I was swayed immediately by the view, but on walking into the house, it's a house that really I suppose I could call home.
It's hard to believe that with snow on the mountaintops, the sun is actually giving me a suntan. This is lovely. I could be here all day long. Have you had enough?
No.
You can't get enough of this one, can you? It's beautiful. I just can't get over that. I think it's just absolutely stunning.
It is spectacular, isn't it?
But there is one more house to come.
Right.
Tomorrow, it's Mystery House time. Will it better this? Can it better this?
I'm intrigued as to what else you found.
Come on. It's the second day of our property search where the mission is to find suburban Buckinghamshire-based Stephen Halinka their dream getaway here in the Scottish Highlands in exchange for £375,000. Still to come, a maths lesson in the Mystery House. If you finished all of these too, you'd have 10.
It's a little bit more than the 3 that we thought we needed.
And I'll come face to face with Scotland's very own native tiger. Well, as you can see, it is a beautiful blue start to our final day of house hunting here in the Highlands. And despite a definite chill in the air, things are certainly hotting up. Yesterday, I thought, went extremely well. Property number 1 was definitely of interest to Steve and Halinka, but by the time he'd finished at property number 2, things were really cooking. So what can we do with our final offering of the week, our Mystery House? Well, our hope is that it offers them everything they've been looking for in their new country home and more. For our third and final property stop, we're taking our buyers to the small hamlet of Errigy on the quieter southern side of Loch Ness and even closer to the Cairngorms National Park. This is a tranquil and beautiful place, perfect for forest and hill walking. The nearest village is around 4 miles away and is famous for the breathtaking Falls of Foyer, whose fine cascade drops 165 feet and feeds directly into the loch. And the mystery element for our final property is that we're bringing a new business possibility right through the front door. What do you think?
Well, I'm looking to the right at the garage.
There are three double garages over there with an enormous space above, accessed by a stairway. So bags and bags of storage for you. It's an enormous property, built very, very recently, actually, within the last sort of 10, 12 years or so. And when you look around us now at the views, I mean, the mountains, on a day like this, it's just sensational.
I guess the views from the front are as good as the views at the back.
They are, absolutely. I mean, you're just spoilt for it. I mean, 360 degrees, more or less, are these gorgeous views.
Right, can't wait to have a look.
Okay.
Yeah, come and have a look inside, it's wonderful. Set in a 2-acre plot, this modern mystery house is a detached villa arranged over 2 floors and is by far the biggest of the properties we've seen so far. We're bypassing the entrance hall and going straight into the heart of the home. I'm very excited about what you think of this.
Oh, wow. It's a very open space.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Steve?
I'm amazed.
We talked about hubs of homes, but this is one of the best I think I've ever seen.
And it feels very homely.
Yeah. Wood burner down there. You've got a terrific snug in here with another wood burner. It's lovely. Have a look. I mean, it just kind of goes on, really. Oil-fired range over there in the corner.
That's perfect.
There's a fantastic utility area through there. Lovely big double sink, wellies, dogs, all that stuff.
It's looking good.
It's looking good.
It's looking
Where's
very
house
good.
number 2 now?
Well...
You've challenged it.
Yes.
I think we have, yeah. I thought we might. Now, in terms of sort of business potential, we've hinted at it with our last property, obviously with the chalet option. This one has so many rooms in it. You could quite happily go down the B&B route if you wanted to. I know you haven't really embraced that idea, but if you wanted to, it wouldn't be difficult because most of the bedrooms are all that way and upstairs. We'll deal with those in a moment. But the current master bedroom, curiously, is through here. Come and have a look at this. There.
It's got a very cottagey feel again, even in here, hasn't it?
Yeah, I love the way they've dressed it. It's an interesting, eclectic mix in some respects. But for a modern house, it all works. It creates that feel, I think.
This house has an unconventional configuration that could be zoned off for different uses. The main living areas and master bedroom lie to one side of the property and could almost be self-contained. Then to the other side are a further 3 comfortably sized ground floor double bedrooms, as well as a family bathroom complete with a roll-top bath. However, there is another floor upstairs where even more rooms await, starting with a spacious ensuite guest bedroom.
Now, as you've seen up here, there is one huge bedroom over there, which is finished. Behind these 5 doors, there are 5 rooms that are currently unfinished, and they're in this sort of state. This is a good example, really, just to show you.
OK.
All right, so it's sort of at first fixed stage, I suppose one would say. Plasterboard's up. You'd need to sort out the wiring, you know, a few other bits and pieces. Each of these rooms is enormous. You've currently got 5 finished bedrooms, including the master downstairs.
Downstairs, yep.
If you finished all of these too, and they were all bedrooms, you'd have 10.
It's a little bit more than the 3 that we thought we needed.
This is why we're thinking about the business potential.
Right, OK.
Blown away?
I am, yeah.
Good. I think it's a really, really interesting property. OK, should we go outside?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this land and talk about the price.
Despite the enormous size and alternative business potential to what Stephen Halinka had in mind, I think the Mystery House has really got them thinking. But the question, of course, is whether or not the figures will stack up.
Look at this.
Who said Scotland doesn't get sun?
Who said that? Yeah, on a day like this, you could sell anything. He says, hopefully. As you can see, the mirror image of the veranda there at the back of the house, and a similar sort of arrangement behind the double garages, Steve.
Well, the house, there's a home potential to it, but the amount of space out here is also awesome for the dogs as well. I mean, they'd absolutely love this, wouldn't they?
I would.
But, of course, all of that's going to depend on how much this is priced at.
Is it my turn?
I think it might be. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'd say top end of our budget, given the amount of house there is, 380, 390.
OK, 380, 390. Steve?
I think we've pushed it. I think we're now 390.
390. They are looking for £375,000 for this.
Blimey.
375.
Not bad, is it?
You've thrown a conundrum now.
I think so.
Lots to think about, isn't there?
Go and have a look at that garage area. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I'll catch up with you later.
OK.
Off you go.
Bang on budget with a fixed price of £375,000, the Mystery House is a modern detached home meeting all of Stephen Halinka's requirements. It has an open-plan kitchen, dining and family room with a separate snug and utility. 4 bedrooms are down on the ground floor and a further 6 upstairs that could be ideal as letting bedrooms. The house and triple garage sit in over 2 acres of land surrounded by unspoilt views of the Scottish Highlands.
Wow.
A triple garage. You've only ever had a double garage before, haven't you?
Exceeds all expectations.
I can see you getting more bikes now. I think this has given us an awful lot to think about, because this kind of house maybe wasn't really on our radar, but it doesn't, now we're in it, it doesn't really feel as big as perhaps we anticipated.
Well, yesterday it was non-stop talk of property 2. I've no doubt that for the rest of today it'll be non-stop talk of property 3.
Well, I thought that was rather exciting, as I hoped it would be.
It was.
Lots to think about.
Tons. to think
Tons.
about.
I think we've confused you, you know.
You have.
Lots to think about.
Yeah.
Well, that marks the end of our 3 property tours with Helinka and Steve, but whatever your budget, there's still a variety of homes here waiting to be snapped up. This 4-bedroom timber house in Newton Moor lies within the Cairngorms National Park itself. It has a cosy sitting room with wood-burning stove and is on the market for offers in the region of £160,000. Further up the price chain is this traditional cottage in Drumna Drocket. For offers over £245,000, it comes with 3 bedrooms and a beautiful country kitchen featuring exposed stonework. Lastly, this rather stately Victorian villa in Granton-on-Spey can be yours for offers just shy of £500,000. Currently run as a 4-star guest house, it has a grand drawing room and 6 luxury ensuite bedrooms. The remote wilderness of the Cairngorms National Park is home to a rich variety of wildlife, offering sanctuary to many rare and endangered species. But one native resident facing a serious battle for survival is the critically endangered Scottish wildcat. Nicknamed the Highland tiger, this feline may look like a domestic tabby, but it isn't a cat you'd want to cuddle. I've come to meet Doug Richardson at the Highland Wildlife Park to find out more about the plight of this elusive creature.
The wildcat itself perhaps isn't that familiar to many people, but it is nonetheless, you would say, a very iconic image of the Highlands.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's considerably more people out there that are a bit more attuned to the existence of a wildcat and especially to its plight.
They've now got this lovely title, the Highland Tiger, which would suggest, you know, something very ferocious and something that could really look after itself in the wild, but their numbers, as you've alluded to, have plummeted. What's threatened them? What's caused the change in population?
It's the most important problem, and the thing that is driving them to extinction is crossbreeding, hybridizing with feral domestic cats.
Once widespread across the UK, there are now less than 400 purebred wildcats left in existence, and captive breeding is probably the last hope to ensure their survival.
Now, they're famously elusive creatures, Doug.
Yep. Well, certainly our ones are a wee bit easier to spot. Obviously, they're a bit more used to people, but...
Is this a male or a female?
That's our main breeding male, Hamish.
Hamish. He's beautiful, isn't he? Now, these walkways, these aerial walkways are quite interesting. It allows us to see him quite clearly as he moves between enclosures. What's the purpose of this? It's quite a complex that you've created.
What I think why these work so well, the cats can get above the visitors' heads. And for most carnivores, if they're above something that they see as potentially threatening, they'll feel more secure. So in an environment like this, even though he's casually going around on the ground as well, they know that they have this escape route. And the knowledge that it's there makes them calmer individuals and better exhibit animals.
On average, wildcats are 50% larger than their domestic cousins, with a wider face and jaw, and they can manage to run at speeds of 30 miles an hour, but it's impossible to tame them.
How do you distinguish between a genuine purebred wildcat and one of these hybrid cats?
There's a number of things. If you look at the stripe down his back, it sort of wiggles. It's not a straight line.
Yeah.
On a domestic cat, it'd be a straight line. There's 4 lines on the top of his head that sort of meet in the center. You wouldn't get that on a domestic cat.
Rabbits form a key part of the wildcat diet, and the park employs dynamic ways of feeding them in order to best replicate conditions in the wild.
And look at him, waiting, he can't wait.
See those ears going to the side as well. I mean, that's kind of classic wildcat.
He's licking his lips, isn't he? Yeah. So he's just looking now to make sure that she is.
So wait a minute, wait, there's nothing left on the floor. I mean, this is it. He's figuring that out.
Yeah.
And okay, right, that's where it is. I'm going to have to work at it.
Do you get very attached to them?
A good zookeeper is seeing the bigger picture. That, you know, they have a conservation role to play. They're both educating the public, acting as ambassadors for their species, and potentially their offspring will play an even more significant role in the species.
Well, it's good to see, Doug, and let's face it, the Highlands wouldn't be quite the same without their tigers.
Absolutely not.
Well, while I've been out and about, Steve and Alinka have been locked in conversation trying to come up with a plan for their future. So, without further ado, let's go and find out what it is. Well, you two, what an exciting week we've had.
Absolutely.
The Highlands clearly are for you. You have lapped it up from the minute you arrived. But I get the feeling there are two real contenders on the list.
If we'd have had this conversation yesterday, we'd have given you a definite answer. It was going to be property number 2. Mm-hmm. Having thought about it, I think our focus now is the Mystery House.
OK. Well, we'll deal with the Mystery House a little bit later, but let's go back to property number 1, if we may, which has been discounted, I think.
The hub that we said was quite important to us, the sort of the kitchen, eating space, chilling space, that wasn't there.
Well, property 2, you wanted a view, and boy, did you get it there. And I thought that was it. Done deal.
The heart said, let me sign on the dotted line now. And I could have done that yesterday.
So when we set off this morning to go and look at our Mystery House, what were your thoughts on that one?
I was thinking the Waldens, if I'm honest. It really made me smile when I looked at it and thought, wow, that looks really quite interesting.
But when we got inside, I think this vision of the hub, of a very warm, cosy home with plenty of space, really came to the fore.
It had a wow factor for me. It was very quirky as you walked in. Part of me kept thinking, is it going to be too big for us? But it was very much a home, and it didn't kind of feel as though the two of us and the dogs would be rattling around in it.
I know it's got the project rooms that are still yet to be developed in the loft space. Quite frankly, the vision I have for those is they'd be behind locked doors and I'll get round to it whenever.
So we have, I suspect, reached a decision that is now focused on the Mystery House. What happens next?
Seriously contemplate a second viewing.
I'm delighted. I'm absolutely delighted. Best of luck. And as always, let us know how it goes with the viewing. And let's hope we hear that you've moved in fairly quickly.
Will do.
Yeah, thank you very much for the experience. We have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Pleasure. You know, we have seen so many spectacular views up here this week. Trying to pick a favourite is nigh on impossible. And as for today's buyers, well, Steve and Halinka, with any luck, are now well on their way to calling this place home, because that, of course, is what this search has been all about. And as for the chance to wake up to this every day for the rest of their lives, well, who can blame them? Lucky devils.
Steve and Halinka are already planning their return trip to Scotland with a view to seeing the mystery property again. If you want to escape to the country in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales or England and would like our help, then please apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.